Hey everyone, it's Jessica here and I'm back with another video for the Not Just for Boys Kit Club, and today I'm working with the Revitalize Limitless Kit and Essentials Kit. So I've got this cute little photo of my little guy here and I'm just going to start by matting it with some smooth white cardstock. I'm actually using the sketch from this month, which I will pop in here. There, it's at the top for you. So I also matted my photo with one of the pattern papers from this kit and then distressed the edges of those. And I've got my photo all ready to go. So now I'm going to prepare my background. So the sketch has that circular design and a lot of people went with this side of the paper, but I'm actually just going to cut this out and use the other side of the paper because I thought the other side was really pretty and I wanted the same size circle. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to cut this out. I'm going to use this on a different layout at some other point and I'm going to use the other side of this. So I'm taking a little bit different approach from this. So I'm kind of like building it from underneath versus on top of the paper, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to trim down these edges just a little bit using my paper trimmer off the side here so that I have a little bit of a white border. I've just pulled a sheet of color block textured cardstock out of my stash for this background and distressing the edges of my circle inside there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out the trim pieces from this kit, and I think it's from the add-ons, and I'm going to actually sew using my sewing machine around the outside of this circle and attach a piece of that kind of like a wavy trim to it. So that's what I'm going to do with this, and that's how I'm going to enhance my circle itself. So there's my photo of my little guy. That's about where I want it to go. I'm going to use that beautiful blue paintbrush from one of the other pattern papers in this kit. And then there's my trim piece coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this down so that I can do that machine stitching to prep this layout so that I can start building everything on top. So there's my background. It's all stuck down. I'm going to go ahead and take this to my sewing machine right now. And then I've got that piece done. I'll go ahead and trim out this one paintbrush here. I'm just going to go ahead and use my X-Acto knife and my cutting mat here to trim out this paintbrush. And I'm not going to make you suffer watching me through the whole thing. So I'll go ahead and set that aside. I've got it all cut out and I'm just sprinkling on some of the Nuvo mist from one of the previous kits. That one is in that color that I showed you on the screen. And then I was trying to make this map work, but I couldn't quite make any of those frames work for this style of layout. So I just cut out one of these little reading panels from the little menu items on the one pattern paper, and I'm going to go with that. So I keep messing with these little frames, but I didn't end up using any of those in the end. I ended up pulling out these cute little film strips and layering a couple of these instead, which I really love. So I'm going to pull out one of these longer ones and place in behind there to kind of build up all those layers, which I just love how that looks. I love that cute little paintbrush. It doesn't really go with this layout other than the simple fact that he was getting messy in the garage by the skid steer. So that's kind of why I threw that paintbrush on there, because he's just like a messy kid. My boys just love to play in the garage and help daddy with all his projects. And they're always like all dirty and dingy and they just love it. So I thought that the paintbrush kind of symbolized his little freedom there whenever he's always out in the garage and doing his own thing. So I've just layered those items up and I've cut the hole out of that little tag and strung some of my embroidery floss through there. And then I'm just going to make it messy and kind of flowing throughout the layout. So I'm going to give it a little loop here, loop it around my paintbrush, and then I'm just going to use my little tiny attacher by Tim Holtz, my little stapler, to attach those tails of that twine. So I'll do that in a minute. For now, I'm going to sort through these die cuts that come in this kit. These are from the Vicki Boutin Discover and Create collection, but I'm actually just sorting through here to see what I want to use on this layout. Sticking mostly with the blue shades in here. I don't want any major pops of color, so I end up trying to make those yellow puffy stars work at one point, but it was just too bold for this layout, and I kind of had like a monochromatic thing going with all the blues, so I just stuck with mostly the blue color scheme. And then that black and white star was from the chipboards. I used most of those black and white stars from that pack on my last layout that I posted. So I just had this little guy left. I'm actually just going to leave it black and white as is. That way it goes with the theme of my layout. I didn't want any more blue there. I just really liked how that looked and it was just black and white. So I just left it. And then I found that little chill icon in the die cut, so I'm going to pop that up with some 3D foam squares and place it down at the bottom there. And then Merity on her sketch and her layout had like a little frame over here on this left side. I actually just settled on using that instead. It's like a little journaling piece, but I'm just going to layer my title right there on top, and then I'll make that work. So I've used the letters here. These are from the Discover and Create collection as well, and I love them, but this is actually the first time I'm using them. I haven't actually pulled them out on a layout yet, so I was pretty excited to make them work on this one. So I wasn't sure what title I was going to go with when I first started this layout. And Merity's sketch design had a large title at the top of the photo, but I decided to just use that tag on the top instead and do some layering up there, and then just pop my main title down here. So I am just placing this down, and I'm using a little bit of Nuvo glue to reinforce the backs of my letters. That way they stay for sure. I've had some issues in the past over time with these thickers not sticking well when they've been in my books for a while, so I've learned to reinforce them with some of the clear liquid glue. So my title is Wild Man, which pretty much sums up this child. He is kind of wild and crazy, so I thought that would be a perfect title for this layout. And he was literally like just sitting in the chair, just being his silly self and like not really doing much of anything, but just sitting there and cracking up over nothing. And it was just funny, and he was having a little relaxing moment and kind of lounging back in his chair, but like laughing. So it was just cute, and I thought he was adorable, and I had to take his photo. So I'm just continuing to layer these embellishments. I really like that little star banner, so I'm going to pop that there and then just continue building this up and sticking everything down. I really like those little wordy bits right there. I'll stamp my date stamp underneath that then, and I'm just gluing this little puffy star down. Sometimes I have to glue them twice, but for right now I'm not going to worry about it because I'm actually just going to add some staples in it anyways. So I'm just making this twine look messy, but I'm just stapling it down in place. And then there are a couple places where it's still kind of sticking up and not quite where I want them. So I'm just adding a little dab of Nuvo glue and placing those exactly where I want them to be. That way they're not going to move around anywhere. So I'm pulling out these yellow stars at this point, and then I immediately regret that decision. I'm like, nope, that's not going to work. So I didn't like that bold yellow in there. So I pulled them back off, and I did some die cut stars instead. So I just had some dies here from Ellie's Studio that are just some basic stars. So I just cut a bunch of those in just some black cardstock from my scrap stash, and then some of the kind of that newspaper pattern paper that was in this kit as well. And I just used a scrap from that as well too. So I really like this little arrow. It is green. Mind you, it is like the only green thing on this layout, but you know what? I had a little pop of pink in there too, and that's okay. All these colors go together. These sequins they're gonna pull it all together in the long run anyway, so I wasn't too worried about just some subtle pops of color, but the yellow, it immediately scared me when I put it on there, so I ended up pulling those yellow stars back off right away. But I did like the little pop of green in the arrow and the little pops of pink as well. So I'm going to continue putting down all these sequins. Here's my date stamp coming in. I kind of messed it up whenever I stamped it. Big surprise. But if I mess it up and it doesn't quite stamp, I just use my black pen to go in and fix it. And then this here, I'm not sure why this is going so super duper fast, but I have my little banner pieces here that I'm making, and I am just stamping all of these cute little bits. And I'm going in with some black archival ink to stamp these on some pattern papers. And then I'm just going to trim them out doing some fussy cutting here. So I don't know why this section of my video is like so super duper fast compared to the rest of it, but apparently I made this faster than the rest of the video for some reason. I don't know. But here I'm just layering my little banner pieces up, and I decided that I needed another one under here, so I'm just stamping one more real quick, and then I'll fussy cut this one out and place in behind it as well. And then I'm actually going to stick these together and then do some machine stitching along the top just to hold them all in place and give them a little extra texture. I really like the way that that looks, and those little ones that Vicky Boutin designed that I used on the left side of my photo is actually kind of stitched as well. It's just obviously drawn on there or whatever. It's on there, but it's not physically stitched, but it looks like it is. So I thought I would stitch this one as well since I already have my sewing machine out. So I'm just going to tape these together and layer them up, and then I will add my machine stitching right across the top. So I really love this stamp set. You can literally make like any color banner that you want and have different textures and patterns to them using this stamp set from the shop. Super cute. So there's the finished little banner that I made to go along with Merity's sketch that she made. And then I'm just going to place that little wordy bit there and add some stars that I still have cut out and add a few more sequins to that little bit here. And then this is pretty much going to finish this layout up. So I'm just adding this little star on the right side, again with some more sequins. And I love the sequins. I think these sequins are like one of my favorite mixes that I have in my stash right now. It's just such pretty colors. So here's the finished layouts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If the kit is still in the shop, I will link it below for you to grab it. And please feel free to play along with this sketch. It'll be in our Facebook group, which is the Not Just for Boys kit community, and you can add your layout right into the album. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.